Councilwoman.
Did you
Rogers,
already assign those?
No, she needs to read them out first, so, yeah. He was just kidding.
Oh, I interrupted, I'm sorry.
At that time of the week.
Oh, we're good. You need to assign it.
Okay, so it's gonna be assigned to planning at this time.
CPO 2019-49, an ordinance appropriating 2019 budgets for the operating expenses and salaries of grant and special revenue funds for Commission for Women of the City of Gary for the fiscal year beginning January the 1st, 2019, ending June 30th, 2020. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Finance.
CPO 2019-50, an ordinance approving an additional appropriation for the General Fund 101, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Finance.
CPR 2019-06, a resolution by the Gary Common Council agreeing to the relocation of Majestic Star to an inland location within boundaries, sponsored by Councilman Ronald Brewer, President of the Common Council, Councilman Michael A. Brown, Councilman at Large, and Councilwoman Linda Barnes Caldwell, Councilwoman 5th District.
Madam Clerk, I would like to ask that a motion be made that all council members be added to this resolution.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Wade. Roll call, Madam Clerk, to amend CPR 2019-06 to add all council members.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
8-0, CPR 2019-06 has been amended and so ordered, and that is on to the Planning Committee. Yes.
Mr. President, the Planning Committee has before it CPO 2019-48. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Rogers? Yes. Mr. President, the majority of the committee has approved ordinance CPO 2019-48 for reporting out. Would you like me to do that?
Councilman Brown.
Okay. Mr. President, the Finance Committee has before it CPO 2019-49. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell.
Yes.
Mr. President, the majority of the Finance Committee has approved CPO 2019-49 for reporting out to the council. Finance Committee has before it CPO 2019-50. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell.
Yes.
Mr. President, a majority of the Finance Committee has approved CPO 2019-50 for reporting out to the council.
Mr. President, the Planning Committee has before it CPR 2019-06. For the record, I approve this resolution for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Rogers? Yes. Mr. President, a majority of the committee has approved CPR 2019-06 for reporting out.
At this time, I ask if you would report out your numbers for the record on time.
Mr. President, I would like to report out CPO 2019-48 and CPR 2019-06.
Mr. President, the Finance Committee would like to report out CPO 2019-49 and 2019-50.
Thank you. Before we go into special and select, we have two presentations that will be taking place at this time. I would like to call Superintendent Carter of the Indiana State Police, if he will come at this time. If you all can use that microphone over there, yes.
I appreciate this moment very, very much. I was so impressed, and about 7 or 8 minutes ago, I heard the Pledge of Allegiance with the word God, and there was actually a prayer
Yeah.
And that was awesome. I don't know who said that prayer. I was standing outside, but oh my gosh, it gave me chills. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. I got to know this mayor 6 or 7 years ago, and I remember her saying to me, "I believe in my city and I have hope." And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. And we became, I'm gonna call her my friend. And I'm here to simply present her a resolution on behalf of the Indiana State Police and the Indiana State Police Board to thank her for her service and her partnership. At the end of the day, I got a good friend out of it for the rest of my life. So thank you for giving me just a moment in time, along with Jerry Williams. Jerry grew up right here in the city of Gary, and he believes and he has hope too, I promise. I promise. So we'll continue to stand with this city whenever we can, and continue to support you as we push forward with belief and hope. Great, two great words. So, with that being said, Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson has served the city of Gary as the mayor from November of 2011 through December 2019. The superintendent of the Indiana State Police and the Indiana State Police Board would like to thank you for your dedicated service and commitment to the citizens of the state of Indiana and the city of Gary. Your partnership with the Indiana State Police and other public safety professionals during your 2 terms as mayor demonstrated the well-being of your citizens and made sure that it was a main priority. You were also able to reach outside of the city limits to leverage state resources for the betterment of your community. In testimony thereof, we set our hands and affix a seal this 7th day of August in the year of our Lord 2019, signed by 6 members of the State Police Board and me as the superintendent of the Indiana State Police. Thank you, ma'am, very, very much. You said you all got me on this one.
All right.
Thank you, Superintendent Carter and Major Williams, for being with us, and thank you all for your continuous service that you do for our state as well as our city also. At this time, we will have Dr. McGee, if he would come. He is our he is over our ER at the Methodist Hospital. Making a presentation about school violence and reduction initiative for Northwest Indiana and the Chicagoland area.
While Mr. Buggs is trying to finish up passing the rest of those out, I'll take a brief couple seconds to address you for a minute. For those of you who know, I'm the chief of the ER at Methodist in Gary and Maryville. I'm also the medical director of EMS, as well as the founder for Pop on Youth Violence. I am also the only Northwest Indiana representative for the Indiana Trauma Department of Health for trauma. I was appointed probably about 8 years ago by Mitch Daniels, the only Northwest Indiana physician who's on that committee. That committee consists of all the trauma surgeons from all the hospitals that have trauma centers throughout the state of Indiana. So we meet twice a month, every 2 months to address issues pertaining to trauma. Prior to my joining that committee, we did not have a trauma center, a designated trauma center here in the city. At that time, Gary was the de facto trauma center. So after doing all of that, we are now a well-coordinated trauma center, saving a lot of lives here for a lot of type of injuries. As a part of being a trauma center, you have to do outreach and prevention. So myself and Dr. Rutland, who's the chief of trauma, looked at what we see the most of and what we can make the most impact. And so we started a corporation called Pop on Youth Violence, which means Project Outreach and Prevention. I just want to show you some data here that I just handed out to the council, if it's circulated around. Mr. Bugs, did you leave a couple of these out? But basically, this data is data that we tabulated from our trauma data. It's also some national youth violence data that a lot of you should probably be aware of. But if not, you should be aware that violence is a public health problem and should be addressed as that and as an epidemic. So if you look at this, age 10 to 24, for young black men, the number one leading cause of death is homicide. Okay.
We don't have that.
Yeah, they may have stopped over there. So basically, age 10 to 24, the number one killer for black men is homicide. This is across the country. For the same age, the number two killer for Hispanic men is homicide. And so looking at our data at Methodist, I just want to give you these 2 points and then we'll finish up. As a trauma center, the incidence of penetrating injuries, which is gunshots and stab wounds, we see 27% of penetrating injuries. The national incidence is about 7%. And so we're seeing a high incidence of trauma here in our city. In fact, we see more trauma, penetrating trauma, than all the 3 level 1 trauma centers down in Indianapolis. Okay? To put that into perspective. And if you compare us nationally to all the level 3 trauma centers throughout the country, we see the most in our little area. And this does not include the patients who die on the scene and the patients who go to other hospitals, just the ones that come through Methodist. I have a graph here showing all the trauma that we've seen from 2016 to 2018, and I compared it from penetrating, which is gunshots and stab wounds, versus blunt, which is car injuries. And then I risk stratified it according to age. And looking at this, out of that 27% I just told you who get the most penetrating injuries, 60% of them are our kids aged 1 to 24. So let me reiterate that. Out of all this data that we have, 60% of the people who are being shot or killed are that age, 1 to 24. And this is across the country. This is just a spot check of what we have here in Indiana, and particularly in Northwest Indiana. Does not include Crown Point's data, does not include patients that go to St. Catherine's, does not include Chicago data, just our little data. It's a spot check. And so we got to do something. And so across the country, everybody's recognizing that public health, violence is a public health problem, and that it should be treated as an epidemic. And so what we're doing, and I'll finish up, for our organization, this past April, we did a bully-free, fight-free April, where we had schools that were affiliated with POP in our SAVE program, Students Against Violence Everywhere. They basically did their part to reduce violence, bullying, and fighting in their schools. And so we chose 2 winners, and the ones that had the greatest reduction in fights and bullying won $250 from us. And so one of those schools was the Charter School of the Dunes, and then Kenwood in Chicago. And so what we've done, and while doing these little outreach things, we went on a tour. The mayor and the chief of police was on the first tour that we stopped. Over a 5-day period during National Youth Violence Prevention Week, on 4 of those days, we went to 3 different schools. The first school was Roosevelt, where a 14-year-old had just gotten killed. And so we went to 3 different schools, and we spent an hour. I had a DJ. We got their attention, and we gave a great message with multiple different peoples. And then on that Wednesday, we were in Chicago at our facility over in Hyde Park. We had about 1,000 students from Chicago. And what's the travesty of all of that is, on the first day when we went to Gary Middle School, one of the young men who I pulled out from the audience to stand by me was the young man who got killed coming home from the barber shop. I was at his funeral. And then 2 weeks later, another young man from West Side died. So that's just showing you right there. We had 3 young black men between the ages of 10 to 24 die within such a short time span. And so violence starts in the schools. We think that it doesn't. Fights escalate nowadays. They don't fight fair. They come out with bigger and better things. We got a bunch of kids who don't have any unity or nonviolence tactics. And so what we're proposing for the fall, we're actually going to try to work on doing a bully-free, fight-free fall challenge. And so what this is going to entail is we're getting all these schools from Northwest Indiana, and Chicago. We're working on both ends, and we're gonna try to have them to do their part to reduce violence in their schools. And at the same time, we're gonna also bring on, can you reduce opiate use? And can you reduce STIs, which are sexually transmitted diseases? And there are different entities who that's their initiative as well that we're gonna try to get funding for. And at the same time, we partner with the American Heart Association and the Homeland Department of Health to teach bystander CPR, as well as stopping the bleed, which is a huge initiative from Obama that we're trying to do. And at the same time, we want these schools to do 2 conflict resolution seminars, which is just an hour of class, everybody having the same message, 2 of them a month for 4 months, so a total of 8. And to range on topics like pitfalls to social media, avoiding fights, racial intolerance, how to stop bullying. We want to get everybody in a coordinated effort to do these things so that we can see if there is a reduction or can it be done. And so in December, we're gonna have a party, and the school that has the greatest reduction in fighting and bullying will win a party from Power 92. Everybody liked the greatest DJ out there for the kids, which is Hot Rod. So we're gonna partner with them, have this party at the school that wins, and then we're gonna give that school $2,500. $1,000 to go towards their career improvement for choices for kids. The other $1,500 to go towards SAVE and prevention of violence. And then we also going to tabulate the data to see, did we make a difference? While these kids trying to challenge each other to prevent violence, did the other ones who didn't win, did they decrease their reduction? And so if we saw that we made an impact, it's something we can transfer over to the spring and do something bigger and better. And while doing this, we've already got the U, which is a TV show, WGN, and any other social media avenues that's going to be videoing this and putting this all out so that now we can see kids making a conscious effort to change the things that's going on instead of all the nonsense that the media love to pick up and love to show. And so we think that we can make a difference. We just came here to get your support as the Council of Chicago, the Council of Indiana and Gary, and try to get you guys to help get the schools on board, which most of them we do have. We're going to be addressing a lot of these issues with the superintendents and the Department of Education. I've already had a presentation last week to the Indiana Hospital Association. They loved it. They're all on board. And so we're getting all these entities to be involved, including the Surgeon General, who, guess what? He was the chairperson for the committee that I was on. And so I think that's something that he can buy into, that we're making a conscious effort. So with that being said and done, I'll stop. Please read through, and have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Last thing, this right here is something we made up 2 years ago. This young lady won the rap game. On the back is crisis numbers for the youth. This is something that I do not have or did not have in our ER. When a kid to come to me for bullying, domestic violence shelters, mental health, drug abuse, I had no way or no knowledge of what I could refer them to. So this includes all of that. And so it's been updated. We give it to every student that we encounter. And as we go out along this challenge, we're going to give every student in every school one of these. And we're doing the same set of numbers for the kids in Chicago as well. They need this. Thank you.
So what is it that we as council can do to assist?
We want you guys to, whatever schools in your district, try to get them to be on board and let them know this is coming, and we want to have their participation. Because we don't want the students to just be on board. We want the actual principals and the educators, because we have a full, comprehensive checklist of what they can do. Is really simple. The students are just going to basically be in charge of making poster boards. We're going to give them statistics to read on their intercoms. We're going to give them a set format for what they can do, which won't take away from their school curriculum. And the biggest thing is having the students and the teachers to say, okay, for this September 20th, we're going to talk about pitfalls of social media. And everybody talk about the same thing all over the different school systems. And then you do the same thing for the next topic. And then we will go in and do the CPR and the stop the bleed, and have a brief 1 hour lunch break where we go in like we did with the mayor and have a pep rally centered upon all of this to get the kids more fired up for it. And then they'll be on social media. We'll get them to go on Instagram and get the TV shows to come out and video all that. So that'll make them more fired up. Because I'm going to tell you, they're tired of seeing this. The kids are hurting. They want to do something. So why not give them the opportunity to do something? got to start somewhere.
Is there, give me 1 minute. Is there any portion from any other council members at this time?
I just, Mr. Chair, I would just like to congratulate Dr. McGee. He's done some great work throughout Northwestern Indiana. And I believe that if there's anything that we can do to help you along the way, we will. We see your passion and we see how you're trying to save lives. And I too was at the service of the young man who you had brought up, and I was there when you spoke, and I saw the hurt on those young people as you did. And I think our council president was there too. And I just believe the things that you've done in the past and what you want to do in the future, we can be successful. Because what people don't realize is you're actually the one trying to save those kids' lives. So, and you have to look at those families and tell them they didn't make it. So we need to help you so you don't have to continue to tell families this child didn't make it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And we're also going to be targeting the alternate programs as well. Multiple different ones in the community, even in Portage. There's a school, Aspire. So we're going to hit up all of them and get them to be involved as well.
I will entertain a question because I know this is a sensitive issue that we're dealing with in our community almost on a weekly to almost a daily basis in this community with some type of gun violence that's happening. So, go. Ms. Walker.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask you, I understood everything you said, but what are you doing to figure out how these kids are getting all these guns? The cause of the problem.
I can answer a little bit of that, just from, I was just a keynote speaker at the University of Virginia, centered on the epidemiology of gun violence, healthcare disparities associated with it, and the effects upon our youth. All the data is showing that the kids are getting their guns from their parents or their friends, because everybody got guns now. So kids, even though some parents think they're locked up or hid, kids know where they're coming from. And they did a survey of people who were in jail, and most of them got their guns from friends or relatives, not off the black market. That's what the data shows. But it's all comprehensive, right? So there's a lot of different options of how they can get guns. But the greatest percentage came from friends and family, because everybody got guns now. And that's the problem. That's why you have a higher rate of suicide as well. Because kids who are hurting, who's been bullying, they know how to go and get the guns from whomever it is in their family or friends. So it's a world problem, and it's not just in the urban environments now, suburban environments. It's not just black and brown kids. It's all over, and that's why these public health schools and entities are now recognizing this is a public health problem, and we need to wipe it out like we did, with Ebola. You got to have all the resources there, and to do the best you can, and everybody has to be conscious of it, and everybody got to talk to their kids. These kids on social media, they up at night on the internet, they doing things that you don't even know about. Kids that's doing mass murder stuff, parents acting like they never knew. But they got to investigate their kids. And then even, you got predatoring and all kinds of stuff with social media. And so we just got to be cognizant of that and take a vested interest in our kids.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dr.
guys.
McGee. Appreciate all that
Thank
you do and you continue to do. This is a very serious issue in our community, but I'm glad that you're taking a very proactive approach and a strong will and act towards it. So I really appreciate all you do.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for the time.
Okay.
Councilman Brown?
Mr. Chair, on the note of what Dr. McGee said to us, we certainly want to take the time out to remember the victims of El Paso, Texas, as well as Dayton, Ohio. We live in a society where so many places you go to this, you never know what's going to happen. And if you guys could we have a moment of silence in memory of those victims, their families, the survivors, and those who, no matter what happens, it's going to be so difficult for them to heal. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Man.
Thank you.
At this time, special and select any council member at this time.
Mr. President,
Councilman Wade?
the 6th District will have its community meeting on Thursday, August 15th 5:30 PM at the Blind Social Center located at 4955 Broadway. Again, the 6th District meeting will be held on Thursday, August 15th, 5:30 PM at the Blind Social Center. Excuse me. Secondly, on Friday, August 23rd at 5 PM, the Blind Social Center will have its Dining in the Dark Gala 2019, and it's going to be held at Marquette Park Pavilion, again on Friday, August 23rd, 5 o'clock PM, Dining in the Dark Gala, and you can acquire those tickets. Tickets are $50, and it is tax deductible. They are a 501c3 organization, and we are asking for your support for them. And finally, the Sweet Home Missionary Baptist Church, under the leadership of Reverend Marlon C. Mack Sr., will be having its Impartation Women's Conference and Revival 2019, sponsored by our Sassy Ministry, that's women's ministry, and it will begin on August 17th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will have workshops all day. The registration cost is $25 per person. On Sunday, August 18th, begins our Women's Day service, and then August 19th through the 21st, at 7 p.m. nightly, Elder Demetrius Smith from the Potter's House of Dallas, Texas, under the leadership of Bishop T.D. Jakes, will be our speaker. Thank you, Mr. President.
Welcome. Any other council members?
Mr. President.
Councilwoman Caldwell.
Boards and Commissions has a vacancy. We have a vacancy for the Economic Development Commission. All those interested should submit your letter of interest and resume on or before September the 6th. You can submit that information to the Gary County Council, 401 Broadway, Suite 103, Gary, Indiana, 46402. Attention, Councilwoman Linda Barnes Caldwell. Also, please join the 5th District for our community meeting for the month of August. It will be held Monday, August the 26th at 5:30 at Community Health Net Center, 3503 Martin Luther King Drive, Gary, Indiana, 46409. Our special guest will be Judge Deidre L. Monroe from the Gary City Court and representatives from the Gary Code Enforcement Department. All are welcome to attend. Last announcement. The Taste of St. Andrew AME Zion Church, 749 Chase Street, Gary, Indiana, 46404. They will be having a taste Saturday, August the 17th, 11:30 a.m. to 3:30. All are welcome to attend.
Mr. President?
Councilwoman Wyatt.
Yes. I have two meetings to announce. The Art, Culture, and History Committee meeting will be on Monday, August 12th at 6 p.m., and that's in the Cleo Wesson Lounge. Everyone is welcome. We encourage people who have an interest in history or the arts to attend. And then the next First District Community meeting will be on Monday, August 26th. That will be at 6 p.m., and that will be at Marquette Park Pavilion, 6 p.m., Monday, August 26th. All are welcome. Thank you.
At this time, I will have the mayor to do the mayor's report this time.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon to both the members of the council as well as the members of the public. I first want to extend condolences to the family of Marquise Jones. He was the 9-year-old young man who was riding his bike on Broadway near I-94 on Sunday night and was struck by a vehicle. That investigation is ongoing. There has been some progress made, but I just wanted to assure the public that there is an active investigation in this case, and of course, in other cases where lives have been lost. I also, and we gave a moment of silence, want to certainly stand with the residents and families of El Paso and Dayton, Ohio. I know both of those mayors very well, and it was just heart-wrenching to see them talk about these mass shootings that have occurred in their communities less than 24 hours apart. And certainly the proliferation of guns is something that impacts all of our communities. And it is unfortunate that it has taken two national tragedies back to back, but I am very hopeful that we will see some common sense gun legislation result from this. I would also make you aware that we have been participating in active shooter training and have been encouraging employees to share that information with families and others. We know that it is at top of mind in certain places, and we want you to know that we have been actively training staff. In addition to that, we have had the annual training for internal controls that has been done by our internal control team, and we had it on 2 occasions and had great attendance, and I think people found it very helpful, even if they didn't think it pertained to their position. So I want to commend our internal auditor, Roxanne Williams, and the entire internal controls team. Want to also provide commendations to the entire team, certainly our police department who leads this effort, our special events team, park department, and all of the teams who went above and beyond the call for our National Night Out that was held yesterday at Buffington Park. And I think everyone had a wonderful time. I did notice one thing. The only folks who were playing the games were grown. In terms of jumping double dutch and playing hopscotch. So we might have to have a training session for our young people so that we can teach them how to play those games that will keep you playing outside until the street lights come out. So, oh yeah, exactly. So, you know, it was a wonderful opportunity, and we want to thank Indiana University Northwest and Fresh County Market for their sponsorship and for their support of the event. But it was a great time, and certainly on Saturday, July 27th, we had our back-to-school health fair and giveaway, which was also a success. Plenty of backpacks, school supplies, haircuts, manicures, dental screenings, immunizations, and physicals. We got a chance to see the huge truck that, or the, it's not a truck, it's a, an RV that is being used by Community Health Net to go to those who may not be able to come to them to provide physicals. So I thought that was really great to see. 7 new police recruits were sworn in on July 22nd. They are now at the academy. And so I want to provide congratulations to Antonio Bates, Dylan Mazurek, Ever Navarrete, Gabriel Swift, David Umbarger, Tyler Knotts, and Ann Malinoff. On Sunday, August 17th and 18th, there will be a car show at the Gary Airport. It is being done as a fundraiser for the Gary Air Show, but it is during the time of the Chicago Air and Water Show. I would also like to make folks aware that there is a mosquito spraying schedule that happens from Monday through Friday across the city. A different section is being sprayed every day. And I'll tell you, we were out until dusk, and the mosquitoes started biting towards the end, but they were pretty ruly during most of the evening. So that was something to really enjoy. The Gary Community Schools had the back-to-school convocation at Westside Leadership Academy. If you have not heard Dr. Steve Perry speak, I would encourage you to go on Calvin Standiford's Facebook page. It is there. It was a tremendous address that not only the teachers and those associated with the schools enjoyed, but I think it has something in it for everybody, and I certainly found it enjoyable. There was a meeting today that was hosted by Spectacle Entertainment. I attended. I know that members of the council attended. Councilwoman Barnes-Caldwell, whose district it was in, Councilwoman Brown, Councilman Brewer, you were there, and oh, it was Councilwoman Brown's district. I'm sorry. Councilwoman Barnes-Caldwell claimed that it's her district. The meeting, okay, so the meeting was in Councilwoman Brown's district. The casino is in Councilwoman Barnes-Caldwell's district. Councilman Brown was also at the meeting, and it was to address some of the questions specific to the Black Oak community. There will also be a meeting, there were a number of issues that were not casino related that were raised, and there will be a meeting on next Wednesday, August 14th. It will be held at the First Financial Bank on Ridge and Calhoun, and it is, while it is directed at the Black Oak community, the entire community is certainly welcome to attend that meeting. I also want to make folks aware that that we are actively preparing for the census. There have been a number of meetings and trainings. We do have a complete count committee in the city of Gary, and we want folks to understand what to expect with the census because it is being done largely online, and that is certainly a source of concern. I also want to make the council aware, many of you know that NIPSCO is installing new posts, LED posts, and there has been, when those posts are being installed, a delay in reconnecting them. And so we're working with NIPSCO to reduce that delay time because we know how important it is to have street lights, but I did want to make you aware if you had noticed outages associated with those new installations, that is a source of those outages. So that completes my, oh, wait a minute, no it doesn't. I need to go to Public Works because they do a separate, and I want to make sure that anything I do want you to be aware that we are in the process of getting some help with the lots. And the analogy that I gave to the team is that it's sort of like when you have extra snow and you have to get contractors in to help with that. We believe that because of the tremendous amount of rain that we got very early on, and actually because of some equipment challenges, we do need help, particularly in some of the districts where our vacancy rate is high, the 2nd district, the 6th district. So that doesn't mean that this will be exclusive to those districts, but you will notice folks out cutting lots. You should be aware that we have awarded a bid, and the contractor relative to paving, there is some resurfacing that has to happen in order for us to maintain the community crossings grant. We will provide specific information about that because it is all relative to the finances that are available. The Norfolk Southern track removal, they are going to be removed between 9th and 11th Avenue on Grant, Buchanan, Harrison, Van Buren, Madison, Adams, Washington, and Massachusetts. They will be starting on Grant possibly next week. They will provide us with a 48-hour notice, but that will be done this season. There is also traffic signal replacement that is being done at 17 of our busiest intersections, and that is phase 1 of the work. And we want you to know that they've already started on locations that do not require some special materials, so you should be aware of that. The redevelopment project on Lake Street is ongoing. You will notice that the alleys are being done first so as to not inconvenience the businesses and patrons as much. There will be some challenges, but we have worked with the merchants on Lake Street. We are working with the community to minimize those challenges. The completion date is expected to be October 25th, 2019. The redevelopment project at Buffington Harbor is ongoing. It is expected, and that is the installation of the road that is directed towards truck traffic. It is expected to be done by mid-December 2019. We are looking to get a little more widening to the existing road because we know that it is creating a challenge. And then there is a construction project in terms of reconstruction and road widening that is going on Airport Road from Klein Avenue to the Quentin P. Smith Bridge. And that is expected to be completed by November 24th. The NDOT I-65 bridge over Central Avenue will be done by September 20th of this year. And the Little Calumet River Basin project that is on Harrison Street is expected to reopen by the end of August. The Chase Street pedestrian bridge over the Little Calumet will be open by the end of August as well. There is also a continued project, a sewer sanitary project that is being done in the 2nd District, the Ambridge area, and NIPSCO is doing a bare steel gas line replacement in the 2nd and 3rd District, as is the Wolverine pipeline is repairing a gas and diesel fuel pipeline under Grant Street. The Indiana American Water Project continues. We've made them aware of the concerns that have been raised about the when the water service is off and when the boil alerts have been sent, and we'll continue to ask the public to make us aware of the work that is going on. That completes my report, Mr. President, and I apologize for the length of it.
No problem. Good information. Question for the mayor? Councilwoman Howell?
Madam Mayor, how do we add property to the contract list? We have areas that need to be taken care of.
Would you repeat that again?
You stated that we have some contractors that's out taking care of the lots.
Oh, yes. Well, we are planning to have them. They haven't started yet, though. Yeah. But you want a list of those contractors?
No, I want to add something to their list because I don't know what you're going to, or who's planning on what area.
We're going to pull them from 311. So we can certainly get your list, but we really are going to pull them from 311 and some places where traffic has been obstructed. If you look at 6th Avenue between Broadway and Grant, 7th Avenue between Broadway and Grant, I know that there are some areas over on, in the 5th District, so they'll be all over. But I just mentioned those places because those are literally overgrown.
Will they be cutting trees also?
No, we are not, we're not going to be, they are not going to be doing that.
Any other questions, council members?
Mr. President?
Councilwoman White?
Yes, Madam Mayor, did you, with the American Water, were you able to talk to them about the flushing of the lines that they're charging to the residents?
Yes, and they have agreed to look at that and adjust those charges to the extent that it is in ordinance. And GSD will do it in accordance with them as well.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question was, do we have a time frame for what streets will be paved under the community crossings money?
We do not, I can give you that during the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Wade?
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for having Domingo to get back to me in regards to the situation with the Gary Sanitary District.
Yes.
And the project that I believe has now been completed, the sinkhole that was between Martin Luther King and Mississippi, and they did put the wires back up, so I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President?
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes. Mayor, I have a couple of questions. You spoke about NIPSCO lighting, and on Broadway from 15th to 19th Avenue, it has been dark for a number of weeks now. Is that one of the situations you were talking about when you spoke about NIPSCO, or is this something different?
I don't know, but I can find that out and get back to you.
Okay, and also the traffic light at 19th and Martin Luther King Drive, there was a accident there. The light needs to be either fixed or replaced, but school will be starting, is it tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So we'll
And
get that.
I'm sorry?
It is tomorrow, so we'll get that as a priority.
Okay. And you also indicated regarding paving from 15th Avenue to, from Broadway to Martin Luther King, that would be done. Just want to get a status report on that.
That is not a part of the community crossings paving, and that is revenue dependent.
I didn't know that it was a part of community crossing.
It is not. I'm saying it is not a part of that. So that would not be included in the paving that we have to do in order to maintain the grant.
I'll say, so you're.
So if we have the money to do it, we will.
Okay, because the last time we spoke here, you indicated that it was getting done.
That was because we anticipated having the money.
And I believe that's it, Mr. President.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right. So we have one thing on third and final, and we will go,
I just wanted to add
Okay.
something for, not for the mayor, not for the mayor.
okay.
I'd like to thank Lake County Community Corrections, who has been assisting in some cutting in the 6th District. Some of the requests that I put in, they've been able to go ahead and get it cut right there at 40th and Georgia. That vacant lot right there on the southeast side of the street, they did get that cut down, and they will be doing more. They just have to come back to us because they serve the entire Lake County. So those of you who have put in requests, especially through me, there are some that are waiting, but I'd like to thank, again, Lake County Community Corrections Mr. Barlow and Officer Pyle. Thank you, Mr. President.
At this time, we will go to third and final.
CPO 2019-45, an ordinance of the City of Gary, Indiana, amending the city fee schedule, ordinance 8968, by increasing the establishment fees for the City of Gary departments, sponsored by Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2019-45 on third and final reading.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Overview at this time.
Mr. President, I move to amend by substitution CPO 2019-45.
Second.
Been moved and properly second to amend by substitution CPO 2019-45. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers? Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 8-0.
With a vote of 8-0, CPO 2019-45 has been amended, so ordered. Overview at this time.
Good evening. The city is seeking to amend the fee schedule ordinance with a proposed effective date of September 1st, 2019 to include the following: an update to the list of fees that have previously been updated in other sections of the municipal code, such as towing fees or EMS fees, so that this ordinance is in line with those ordinances, as well as fees that were changed by an independent body, such as the Gary Park Board fees that outline new parking and rental fees in Marquette Park and small increases in fees at the Hudson Campbell. The inclusion of cost recover method in section 20-4, which will allow the city to recover costs associated with the various tasks and services such as demolition, application processing, and conducting inspections. The departments that will implement cost recovery include the engineering department, the zoning department, and the redevelopment department. Additionally, we have included a specifically defined metric for how employee or contractor time would be calculated for section 20-4 cost recovery formula. The inclusion of authority to collect or make arrangements for the collection of a transaction fee to be paid to the city's credit, debit card, and online payment processing vendors. The city has been paying this fee on behalf of its customers at an operating cost to the city. Like the cost recovery section, the section 20-5 allows the city to collect that fee from the customer or contract for the vendor to collect the fee from the customer. The inclusion of authority to void or cancel permits and licenses, etc., and withhold subsequent requests for said items as a result of returned checks or insufficient funds under section 20-6. This gives the city the ability to enforce the return check fee and protect the city from subsequent bad checks.
Any questions, council members?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Wade?
I didn't attend the last finance meeting on this one, but on the one prior, we had requested that the amendment include the previous fees so that we would be able to make a comparison.
We did provide that.
We emailed it in addition.
We'll bring it to the committee meeting.
So, but it's not in this. And the,
It was included in the package that we
it was in the committee meeting. Do you have a copy of that?
I don't have it with me. I think I can email one. I'll put it this way. We did include it with, I don't believe it was properly included in the actual ordinance passage.
Right.
We did discuss it thoroughly during the last meeting last time.
Okay, could you,
We can email.
no, I mean, were there any significant changes?
The changes that I think that are probably reflected, or that would seem to be the most significant within the Parks Department. Whereas, for example, prior to the Park Road passage, Market Park, for example, used to have just two different
Mr. President,
Councilman
I
Rogers.
was not at that meeting, and so I don't have that information. It would have been helpful to have it. I'm not sure why we don't all get the information, regardless if we're at the meeting or not. But that was going to be one of my questions tonight, and since I don't have it, I won't be supporting it. Because we do need the information to move forward. And I'm not saying that it's your fault or whose fault. The fact is that I don't have it, and so I can't intelligently vote for this when that was going to be a question anyway.
Any other questions, Councilman? Thank you.
Mr. President.
Tonight is Councilman Brown?
I need to change my motion.
Okay.
I need to move to amend and ratify that ordinance because some of the fees have already been in place.
Yes.
So my motion is to amend and ratify CPO 2019-45 on third and final reading.
Second by Councilwoman Caldwell. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell,
Yes.
Councilman Proto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers.
No,
Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Yes.
and President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 7 yes, 1 no.
A vote of 7 yes, 1 no. CPO 2019-45 has been amended and ratified. Thank you all. Tonight is set aside public portion. Anyone would like to speak for or against CPO 2019-45? You have 3 minutes to speak on this ordinance.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Jim Nowacki, and I live in the 2nd District. I admire this council, being able to press forward and vote on this issue, even though you know very little about it. It takes a great deal of courage to blindly, but boldly, vote for this ordinance. Mr. President, there are several different fees that this ordinance affects. Some of those fees are fees, as Mr. Pohl had explained, that reimburse the city for their expenses. So in other words, there's a fee for the city inspectors to go out to reimburse the cost to the city to do work for inspecting the roads and the other things that he'd mentioned. There are other fees here that are a near direct tax on citizens. For in other words, if there is a fee for a particular use of a particular facility, whether that's parking and other things, these are almost like direct tax. These are like indirect taxes. And the problem we have is we've never gotten an account for how those fees actually affect the city. Are we actually making money on these indirect taxes? Are we losing money by not charging these contractors enough to reimburse the city? We've never heard any of that being answered by the administration, and I think it's the council's responsibility, not simply to pass 20 pages of fees and fees and et cetera, but to understand, are these fees enough in some cases? Are they too much in others? Is it costing us more to collect the fee? As I know for sure in many instances it does, it costs us more to collect the fee than we're collecting. And that doesn't make sense. So I think the responsibility of this council should be to give a tough, hard look at this, not just bravely and boldly voting for it in blind anticipation that it'll work out all right in the end, because I can almost promise you that while that is bold and brave, it is not brilliant. I think the council should give more attention to exactly how these numbers factor in, whether we're making money, losing money, or giving away the store. Thank you.
Seeing no one else, public portion is closed. I would say to the last speaker, Mr. Pohl and Chief of Staff did a great job of presenting this to us, and I believe this was the second time this went back to the committee that we discussed the fee ordinance. And they did talk in great detail to a lot of things he outlined just here, and there was other things that we did discuss. So it was discussed, there was back and forth dialogue on it. We came to a agreement on, that these things was in line. I won't say we voted on anything, but we knew the information up front before tonight. At this time, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers?
No.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Abstain.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
President Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6 yes, 1 abstain.
Voted yes,
No,
CP.
and 1 abstain.
Vote, 6 yes, 1 no, 1 abstention. CPO 2019-45, pass on third and final, so ordered.
Mr.
Council-
President, it's penny orders and resolutions on third and final.
Thank you. Council pending ordinance resolution on second reading.
CPO 2019-48, an ordinance amending Title 15 entitled Land Usage, Chapter 123 entitled Zoning Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Gary, Indiana, to establish the Gary Casino Plan Unit Development District. Petitioner Spectacle Entertainment, 111 Monument Circle, Suite 777, Indianapolis, Indiana. Property located at 5400 West 29th Avenue, 2760 Jerry Street, and 2901 Tompkins Street, Gary, Indiana.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Caldwell.
I move for passage of CPO 2019-48 on second reading with a committee meeting August the 13th at 5 p.m. and a public hearing August the 20th at 6 p.m.
That was August the 13th, at what time? 5 p.m.?
5 p.m.
Roll call. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Been moving properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
Vote 8-0. CPO 2019-48 is moving to the Planning Committee August the 13th at 5 p.m. and a public hearing August the 20th at 6 p.m.
CPO 2019-49, an ordinance appropriating 2019 budgets for operating expenses and salaries of grants and special revenue funds for Commission for Women of the City of Gary for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019, ending June 30th, 2020. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2019-49 on second reading. Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, August 13th at 6 o'clock p.m. and a public hearing on August 20th.
Second.
Been moving properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 8-0.
Vote 8-0. CPO 2019-49 is moving to the Finance Committee August the 13th at 5:30 p.m. and a public
Six.
hearing.
6.
6 p.m., sorry. 6 p.m. At 6 p.m. and a public hearing August 20th at 6 p.m.
CPO 2019-50, an ordinance approving additional appropriation for the General Fund 101, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2019-50 on second reading. Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, August 13th at 6 o'clock p.m. Public hearing on August 20th.
Been moving properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 8-0.
Vote 8-0. CPO 2019-50 is moving to the Finance Committee August the 13th at 6 p.m. and a public hearing August the 20th at 6 p.m. You good?
CPR 2019-06, a resolution by the Gary Common Council agreeing to the relocation of Majestic Star and in location within the boundaries, sponsored by all council members.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Caldwell?
I move for passage of CPR 2019-06 on second reading with a committee hearing August the 13th at 5 p.m. and a public hearing August the 20th at 6 p.m.
Second.
Moving properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Wood.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
For the vote of 8-0, CPR 2019-06 is moved to the Planning Committee August the 13th at 5 p.m. and a public hearing August the 20th at 6 p.m.
Mr. President, it's pending ordinance and resolutions on second reading.
Thank you. At this time, we have public comment. Ann Walker, Mr. McDaniel. Be our first speaker? Yes. And then Mr. Buggs, you will follow Mr. McDaniel.
My name is Alfonso, my Daniel, Fifth District. I have some concern, been going for 3.5 months. I'm on the agenda, I have many concerns, and Fifth District, and nothing been done, you know. I don't know why, you know, and I brought to our last Fifth District meeting, number one concern, 36 in Broadway, and 36 in Grant Street. We have potholes. And the work is done, part of it has been done, part of it hasn't been done. And I don't know what's the problem, why they reduced the job, but I hope our fish district person will check that out and see why. And then I do a lot of, since I've been back, do a lot of footwork myself. I even go down and call the general service department. They see my number and they want to return the call. They even go there, you know. And they say, well, he's not here, so we'll get back with you, you know. That's number one. Another concern I have here is 36 in Tyler Street, going south to Ridge Road. Pothole is the same way, nobody comes out, same thing. And I don't know what's the problem, they don't come out, it may be right around the area, but it seems like they don't want to do their job. You know, there's a paycheck and they're happy, okay? That needs to be taken care of. Fifth District, I hope Ms. Caldwell check out and see what's the problem, okay? We have a common nuisance here, okay, in my area, 23rd and Monroe Street, the 24th and Monroe. We have a vacant lot from there, but I live at 23rd, 2360 Monroe Street. I've been doing a lot of work, I'm paying people to come, I'm helping out. If you drive by my area, you see where I did a lot of work at 2361. Myself and help, and I got to miss up. I'm doing it myself, but I don't see, why general service don't come out and just clean them lots up. That alley is just like a jungle. They got kids come to the alley. There's one day haven't got bitten by a rat, a rodent, or whatever, It's a dangerous situation here, okay? And that is the problem. We're not just getting our service, okay? Now, I'm in the program for 3.5 months. And that was way, they even called Crown Point. Mr. Barlow, I've been calling Mr. Bowler for 2 weeks. He said he'd get back with me. He haven't got back with me at all, you know. So I'll talk with you about that, okay? And
Thank
that's
you,
my
Mr.
concern.
Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Brewer, City Council. My name is Robert L. Buggs, and I reside in the 6th District. And I have just a couple of issues. First, I want to thank Councilman Laverne Sparks Wade for contacting Lake County Community Corrections for taking care of the issues at Fortin, Georgia. I had brought it to the city at least 6 times. And it was dangerous because I've seen so many accidents over the years that happen in the same place every year, and we can't get it taken care of. And that's a danger. I mean, I've seen some serious accidents. Another thing I want to say is tomorrow is, I guess you all know, that the schools is starting. And I'm very, very happy to say there's a lot of positive energy with the schools, with the new administration so far. So we need the community and the city council to encourage us. But there's one issue that I have. In the 4th of July parade, we had West Side Band in the parade. The uniform they had on was makeshift. The pants was back, I think they used them back in the 70s. And Mr. Mark Spence had donated some T-shirts to the West Side Theater Guild to make it look like a uniform. So they need uniform. So I have been talking to the band directors and other people that's involved. So we did meet a vendor come out. He gave a price of, I think, $38,000 for 60 students. And I brought it to the attention of the administration, the emergency manager, and also DUAB. And they have it on a very low priority. Now, I try to work with everybody, and I will work with anybody, but when it comes to our students, we trying to get students back to this district, we need to start someplace. There's no need of having a band director and paying for them if you don't have a band, and you don't have uniforms so they can be seen. So I don't know whether the city council can appropriate in the money or donate in the money, but we need those uniforms for those children. I mean, if you really want to get somebody back, have the best band in the whole nation. Because I had talked to a friend of mine that would have the band director from Florida A&M to come give a week's band clinic free. He will do that. But we got to make an effort to do something. Now, the young men, the young band director, young, aggressive young people, they was going to try to start a fundraiser, but they needed some seed money. So I spoke to DUAB about it. She said she was going to speak to Dr. Marikas. Nothing has happened. So that's an issue that I would hope that you all will come aboard, and let's make this one of the most successful school years. I know we can all complain, but it's time for us to come up like the Phoenix and make this the best school district in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Buggs.
Mr. President, maybe Mr. Buggs ought to talk to the all alumni, West Side's all alumni group. They got plenty of money. West Side's all alumni group got plenty of money. You on the school board, you call them.
Yeah, we have plenty of money, but we also have some people in the city council and some citizens also. So this is a community thing, you know. It takes a village to raise a child. So let's get all in this pot together.
Thank you, Mr. Buggs.
Don't avoid the issue. Go to the West Side alumni first.
I have a Tabitha
That's what's wrong
in
now.
here.
Like the past.
Tabitha, yes. And then I have Mr. Allen, then Mr. White will be our last speaker.
Good evening, members of the council and the public. My name is Talithia Barrett, and I know it's fine, I get it all my life. But I am a concerned citizen of Gary and a proud Gary native. One of my biggest concerns is for our elderly and our very young. I live in the 1st District, but I worked at the Salvation Army located in the 4th District, Councilman Rogers' district. While there, I learned that they have not had heat or an air conditioning, and they are working there and having volunteers. But what's most concerning for me is the citizens of Gary that are shopping there. I've witnessed them having troubles in the heat shopping. The Salvation Army, it has 8 locations, and the Gary location is the headquarters for these 8 locations. Our City of Gary location is the only location that does not have heat or air, and it's been going on for 5 to 10 years. Yes. They have had cases of frostbite and people falling out from heat-related illnesses in some of their locations. But my concern is that the only location that's without heat or air and their customers are coming in shopping is our location. I've made it known to them, the location there. I've also made it known to Councilman Rogers. I've also made it known to the health department, and I'm hoping to maybe talk with someone in the building department to get someone to go out there and do an inspection, because it's very unhealthy. I just think it's for the care of our elderly, who I had to see walk out struggling. And to know that she has to go home, I don't know if she's going home to someone that can watch over her or not. I just don't think our citizens, which is the only location out of their 8 locations without heat or air. So I would like to plead with Councilman Rogers and the city to please put in some restrictions or whatever it is that we can do, city ordinances to go out there, do an inspection, and get those things put up. The fans are not sufficient. Thank you.
We'll have that looked into.
Mr. President, I
Councilman
would just
Rogers.
like to indicate that we did speak, that I asked my assistant to put the information on the 311, the City of Gary's 311 system, that an email went out to the Health Department, an email went out to the Building Department, and so we've basically done our part as far as making sure that the city is aware of your concerns. And so what we're doing now is waiting to see what happens.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Valerie? Good evening.
Mr. Would you say your name again, sir? Bugs, Mr. Bugs. I love to help the band with the kids. So what I recommend doing briefly, maybe you can get with me. I happen to own a carry-out restaurant, and we can pick a couple of different items every week, and whatever it is we sell, we just split the proceeds of that with the band. Okay? And I'll encourage some of my friends that's in the food business to do the same things. And I'll ask the chamber, would they get some of the companies to kind of match the donations we give? So we'll see if we can do that. Okay, that shouldn't be a problem. What I wanted to ask the council today, back in May, I was here discussing my new business venture at 624 Broadway. And at that time, the council ruled against special use for me for that location. And the basis for the special use has become somewhat moot because the eminent domain issue that was at the heart of the debate or the arm wrestling about it has been dismissed. And so since the reason for the error against, going against the caution, or error against caution as they would say, to not grant the special use, I'm asking this time that the city council consider revisiting their decision independently, reversing it, or unilaterally reversing it, because I'm aware that I wouldn't be able to simply ask and submit the application again, and I ask that the city council give weight to the fact that zoning wasn't necessarily in opposition, and again, like I said, there's been an order of dismissal issued for the litigation of the suit. So if you guys would like a copy of the order that's there. And this one. And thanks, and that's about it.
Thank you. I would just say to that, I did get word from one of my colleagues yesterday about your request, and I did reach out to the Gary Housing Authority, and they asked them for 2 weeks that they would give this body a full report on what their final conclusion is. But they did assure that they did pull back, but they were going to give us a full report of what their proceedings did. But they do have an interest still into your building, and they did let me know that still have an interest in acquiring that building, but they're taking a different approach.
Okay. So for the record, could the council reiterate the reason for the denial of the special use? I can make sure I put that in page.
Yeah, at this time, we're not going to entertain any.
No, I said what was the reason, the historic reason, the past reason. It wasn't that clear to me other than that it's open litigation and that the open litigation is closed.
Well, at this time, this is not a discussion for us to take any action at this time, so
I
we're not
got you.
going to move forward with that at this time.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. Mr. Nowak?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Jim Nowacki. I live in the 2nd District. Last week, I attended a community listening meeting being held by the Assessor Prince, who will soon be the next mayor of Gary in January. And at this meeting, many members of the public had gotten up. They had questions, they had suggestions, some made comments. Among the attendees and speakers was a young man who represents the Gary Common Council on the Redevelopment Commission, young Mr. King. And in his comments, he had asked incoming Mayor Prince what Mr. Prince would do, because he feels that as a young, lifetime Gary resident who is serving on the Gary Redevelopment Commission, that he does not have a voice. Listen to what I said. He's publicly asked the mayor of the city what the incoming mayor of the city could do to help him get a voice as a commissioner on the Redevelopment Commission. Now, he further complained that commissioners, council commissioners, do not receive their package until right before the meeting. Now, he didn't complain that to you, I assume. He complained it to the incoming mayor. He complained about it to me. And I've confirmed that that's indeed the fact, that your representatives, who you appointed with the explicit purpose to make sure that you're informed what's going on at the Redevelopment Commission, we find out that even they don't know what's going on until right before the meeting. Now, I assure you that the mayor's appointees get their package before the meeting, long before the meeting, because they know all about what's going on. But the council representatives don't have the foggiest idea, and in fact complained publicly that they do not have a voice on the Redevelopment Commission. Now, the council knows. I come before you time and time again and complain about the Redevelopment Commission. But I also go to the Redevelopment Commission and complain about the Redevelopment Commission. But your appointees not only don't get any information on the meetings, but they never say a word. Not at the meetings, not before the council. I think the council has to review that matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nowacki, and I am aware of that. I have talked to our representative. That is being addressed, and it will be addressed. Yes. At this time, I'd like to wish my wife a happy anniversary. Today is our day. And I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Time to the city. We're now adjourned. God bless you.
Nice and early.
Yes, sir.